Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at your best wiring options for your 2019 Toyota Sienna. So right off the bat, we're going to have two different groups or classifications of wiring, and they're going to be designed for certain submodels. So these three over here, these are going to be designed for Siennas that are non-SE submodels, and these three over here are going to be designed for the Siennas that are SE submodels. But with that being said, each group is going to have three different brands of wiring. We're going to have Hopkins, Tekonsha, and Kurt. Now the reason there's going to be two different groups is because the SE submodel bands have a different taillight connector than the other ones. So just for an example, we'll grab our two Hopkins here. You can tell all of the connectors are a little bit different. So whenever you're deciding or picking up your wiring, you definitely want to make sure that you have the correct submodel entered into our fit guide. So with that being said, let's just kind of focus on one group for now. Now if I had to personally choose wiring for my own Sienna, I think I would go with the Tekonsha. And I have a couple of reasons for that. One of them being the quality of construction, how well built it is. And the other one being the size and ease of use of the wiring itself. So the Tekonsha wiring, once you kind of get it in your hand, you're going to be able to tell that the wiring is nice and thick and has a really heavy-duty coating on it. The 4-pole wiring that actually goes to our 4-pole connector is also going to be thick and bonded and feels like it should last for a long time. Same thing with our power wire that runs to the battery, really thick and heavy duty, even the fuse holder that comes included. It's going to have a attached dust cover that's real thick and should do a really good job of help keeping any moisture out of your 4-way connector. The size of the module box is really compact and should not give us any issues as far as finding a good spot to mount this whenever we do install our wiring. The Kurt is going to share a lot of those similarities. Power wires will be nice and thick. The fuse holder is going to be a little bit thinner, not as heavy duty in my opinion as the Tekonsha. And just the wiring overall. Kind of get it in your hands, you could tell that coating isn't as thick or the wires, but it does have the bonded wires like our Tekonsha going to our 4-way connector. The box is going to be a little bit larger and could be a little bit more difficult to find a good spot to mount it. As far as the Hopkins wiring goes, the module box is going to be much larger than both the Tekonsha and the Kurt. Again, if you hold it in your hands, the wiring is going to be much thinner, feels kind of flimsy. The 4-pole wiring is not going to be bonded, so just not as heavy duty in my opinion. The same kind of applies for the power wire. It's going to be much thinner than the Kurt and Tekonsha's power wire that runs up to the car's battery. Now, pretty much the same applies for the other category of wiring as far as the quality of construction goes, really with one exception. The Hopkins, this one here, this is the non-SE style, and if you just compare it to the other Hopkins harness, you're going to be able to tell right away that the box here is more in line with the Tekonsha and Kurt as far as the size goes. Another minor difference I found has to do with power output. So let's go ahead and go over the SE group first. The Kurt is going to have a power output of 3 amps for your stop and turn signals and 6 amps for your tail light. The Tekonsha is going to have 2.1 amps per circuit for your stop and turn signals and 5.6 for your taillights. The Hopkins is not going to be listed, but with that being said, all three are going to put out plenty of power whether you're using an incandescent style bulb or even a newer LED. Now we can move over to the non-SE group. The Kurt is going to have a power output of 3 amps per circuit for your stop and turn and 5 amps per circuit for your taillights. The Tekonsha is going to have 2.1 amps per circuit for your stop and turn and 7.5 for your taillights. And again, the Hopkins is not going to be listed. And that's all going to give you plenty of power, as I mentioned before, regardless of what style bulb you have on your trailer. But with that being said, all of the harnesses are going to provide our Sienna and our trailer that we're towing with the necessary lighting functions to not only be safe, but legal as well. And all of them are going to be able to be mounted either inside the van or outside. So what I mean by that is the actual four-way connector. You can either keep it stored inside of the van, out of the elements if you don't use it all that often, or you can run it outside next to your hitch. That way it's really easy to get to if you plug into it a lot. And on our Sienna today, we have our Tekonsha wiring, and our customer decided to permanently mount this outside on the hitch. And that's a really good idea since they plan on doing a lot of towing. It's going to be right here, easy to access. So what's nice about all these kits is that it's going to give you that mounting option for what will work best for you and what you plan on using your Sienna van for. Now they're all pretty much going to get installed the same way. It's a little bit involved, but what's nice is that they use the T-connectors, so they're just going to plug into the factory wiring. That way you're not going to have to worry about cutting or splicing into that Toyota wiring. And they're all going to require that you run a power wire up to the battery, and that'll give them the power that they need to operate properly. They're also all going to use a module or converter box, and what that's going to do, since it does plug into the Toyota wiring, the module box is going to make sure that your factory wiring is protected if a short or anything like that were to occur on the trailer side. They're all going to come with everything you need to get them installed, and at the end of the day, they're all going to get the job done. I just personally think that Tekonsha has an edge because of how well built it is. And that'll finish up our look at of your best wiring options for your Toyota Sienna. I hope you find this information useful and it helps you decide which wiring to get for your Toyota.